Thank you. Good morning, colleagues. It's great to be back in. I pass this place so often on my way to Midrand or so. It's just great to be with you. I know the smart boys, the smart people took off, extended holidays. They're on their way somewhere to the bush already, and here we are slugging it out, trying to encourage one another. When Kristen approached me and asked me to come and share with you a few thoughts, I asked myself, how can we frame this discussion? And I would like to frame the discussion along the lines of this question: are you ready to take up the position of CEO? Now, I still have a vivid picture in my mind when I was first appointed as a CEO. You know, for those of you, I told my story the last time when I was here. I was a nurse for 17 years, okay? The nursing profession for 17 years. And out of the blues, I got elevated into a very powerful position. In 1994, with the advent of the new democratic dispensation, I got elected into the Northwest provincial government. And within a matter of days, my life turned around. Met in a room. My boss by then was the premier by then, was a gentleman by the name of Popo Malife. He called us all into one room. 1.5 hours down the line, telling us about all the challenges and so on. He said, this is the team that's going to help me to advance this program. And he read the names of the different portfolios. And when he came to number 7, he said, the finance portfolio will go to Martin Kuscus. Now, I didn't know a debit from a credit, okay? It's just a nurse. And here I'm called upon to manage 5.8 billion rand. Now, you get into that position because now I'm the executive authority for fiscal management in the province, and my first assignment was to manage a budget of 5.8 billion rand. By the way, my only training was on a civil servant salary, which after deductions and so on was a lousy 5,500 rand or so, those kind of things. Wow, where do we start? It was so overwhelming. And, there was excitement initially, but then once I realized what I'm into, it became just so overwhelming. And unless you have lived through this thing, it's very difficult to explain. Because there I am, and all of a sudden, I've got bodyguards around me. All of a sudden, people are opening the door for you. All of a sudden, when I get home, there's a policeman standing there guarding my house, 24 hours. One night I found him being drunk, and I found said, because the moment he woke up, he pulled up, I said, this guy will kill me, come and take him away. And, people started making, your life was managed by external people, where you should be, what you should do, say, what you should wear, all those sort of things. My second encounter was when I was appointed as CEO of the South African Bureau of Standards. When I left politics, I spent 10 years in the political space. I became CEO of the South African Bureau of Standards in 2004. Again, on my arrival there, very excited because I'm all of a sudden surrounded by this massive resource of intellectual capital, In that place, about 19% by then the staff members had master's degrees and upwards. Very, very clever people in own name and right, world experts with these white coats, sounding very clever and so on. And I'm now called upon to be the CEO, to lead that organization. And again, it was a very overwhelming experience because I mean, I couldn't teach those people anything in terms of the natural sciences and engineering space and all sort of things. But I had to be the leader that makes the orchestra to play in harmony and be the conductor that helps them to interpret the music correctly and give the best possible performance. Now, as a CEO, you must be an embodiment of vision, of inspiration, and of aspiration. But you know, after having been in the executive space for many years, I've shifted now lanes. I'm on the other side, and I've now hired a few CEOs in my lifetime on companies that I'm involved with. But I also shifted it to another level where I'm now a CEO in a different space. And my title now is, I'm a Chief Encouragement Officer. And this is what I want to talk to you about. Are you ready to become a Chief Encouragement Officer? Now, the word encouragement is a very powerful word. The dictionary describes it to inspire, to give confidence, to uplift, and to give hope. The opposite of encouragement is discouragement, where there's a loss of confidence and enthusiasm, being downhearted, demoralized, despondent, hopeless, gloom, and doom. I like this translation of discouragement, where the dictionary says it's losing the desire and motivation to continue doing something that brings purpose and satisfaction in one's life. Now, discouragement just barges into our lives at any given point in time. You might be driving on the highway, you might just be sitting and watching TV, you might be in a mall, wherever, and discouragement can hit you. It steals your joy. It cripples your confidence. And it even distorts the view that you have about yourself. You start even doubting your own capabilities. Now, I don't want to over-dramatize and sensationalize what's happening currently in our country, but there's enough reason to trigger a sense of discouragement in my life and in your life. If we look economically, I mean, the last couple of weeks, load shedding wasn't nice, isn't it? So it didn't only disrupt us at the personal level, but they estimate that the economy is going down at a rate of billions per day in lost productivity and so on. Unemployment, you know, the whole question of the low growth rates of our economy. When we look at some of these rating agencies, we're hovering now above junk status. And very few of us appreciate once we hit junk status, the cost of capital is going to become prohibitive, and it will be very difficult for our country to advance some of our development issues. Politically, there's enough reason to be discouraged about. If you listen to the Zondo commissions and those kind of, you ask yourself, how did people get it right to actually do what they've been doing? And you know, it's now election time, and I've been in that space. I don't want to sell out on my former colleagues. I know some of them are well-meaning, but you'll see some of the most horrendous things. They're going to kiss babies again and kiss dogs and be at every funeral, and be projected as the man and woman of the people, And for 5 years, they were missing in action. And there's a whole lot of contradictions emerging, even in the political arena. Even socially, there's enough reason for me and you to be discouraged. The rising levels of crime and violence, the devastating effects of drugs and alcohol abuse, family disintegration, horrendous crimes against women and children. And just this morning, as I was driving here, we get so desensitized to the statistics. It just another murder. It's just another killing at a school. It's just, it's just a statistic. It doesn't touch us anymore. Now, one of the bastions of society and one of the elements that acted as the glue and was the moral conscience of society was the church. And even spiritually, there's a lot of things, disillusionment taking place there. People are becoming cynical about religion and so on. I mean, because there's just so many theatrical stuff happening there. The other day, a guy was resurrected out of a coffin and all those sort of things. And people even look at this thing very cynical to say, hey, is this not just a big enterprise, money-making racket here, And even people's faith is challenged. They become discouraged. Why should we believe in what we believe if X, Y, and Z is happening? And people drift so easily away from commitment. The first thing that comes into their minds when they relate to one another, what is in it for me? It's always what is in it for me. Now, South Africa is a country of great potential. I mean, I don't know about you, but I believe in this country because I'm 63 years old. I've been through a couple of cycles. For those of you who don't know, during the first election in 1994, you couldn't find a single can of baked beans on the shelves of Pick n Pay. It was empty. We were all waiting for Armageddon, the end of the world. Do you remember those days? Gas stoves gone. Primer stoves, non-existent, People are waiting for the great, day of disaster, And look how we've come out of that thing. I mean, when I really realized that we've turned the tide was in 1995. I was at Ellis Park and the Springboks were playing the All Blacks in the World Rugby Cup final. That was the first day when our flag was on display. I mean, that Ellis Park, just the whole... And there walks Madiba with his number 6 Springbok jersey. And everybody, screaming for Mandela there and so on. And the excitement. I've never been to a rugby game where they played extra time, It was a draw, I think 12-12. And Joe Stransky ultimately nailed them with a penalty. It was a drop kick or penalty, and there we won. But you know what happened that day? As we were during when the game ended for extra time, we all rushed to the bathroom. And I was a guy called Frik. I will never forget the Frik. I said, man, my broer, ek is 'n Frik van hem, man. Jy weet dat die land, I'm going to say it on TV, you'll delete it. Jy weet dat die land goed opgefok, die mense. Ons was lang al so gewees het, my broer. He hugged me, and he's a big guy, he squeezed the air almost out of my lungs, And Frik was having tears in his eyes, Ek is lief vir jou, my broer, man. Ek is lief vir jou, my broer. That day I realized something has happened in this country. So there's some good things. We've hosted the World Cup. We became world leaders in many respects, Some serious scientific and industrial feats happen in this country. However, in a recent article by Professor Mandla Makanya, the Vice-Chancellor of UNISA, he made this very sobering statement. And I quote, South Africa is on the edge of a cliff, and what South Africa needs is a courageous conversation with itself. Amidst all the opinions and analysis, what emerges is that competition for limited economic opportunities and resources is at the root of the problem, close quote. And it is quite alarming when you interact with people around you. The high levels of disillusionment, the sense of despondency, the powerlessness, the hopelessness, and despair out there. Am I talking to the right audience? Or is it just in Arabiaspor that we feel like that? Generally, where you go, you stand in a queue at the banks or wherever, you pick up these signals all around you. Now, thanks to technological advancements, the world has moved on, and we've made serious strides in the scientific world. I mean, life expectancy in general is increasing around the world on average. I mean, in South Africa, we are now pitched at 64 years, up from 53 years in 2006, which means our life expectancy is increasing. Quite a lot of people's financial income in many parts of the world has improved. You might not believe it, but statistically, it's true. I read a book recently by the authors is Bradley, Abbey, and Ford, and they published a book, How Much Is Enough? And they made use there of what they call the Global Happiness Survey. I picked up three observations that they make out of that book. They say that global suicide rates have increased by 60% over the past 45 years. In South Africa, suicide has risen 48% over the last 10 years. The biggest selling drugs are those treating depression, anxiety, and stress. Obesity and diabetes have reached epidemic proportions. So notwithstanding this, there's this great paradox, notwithstanding all the scientific and industrial advancements and so on, the state of humanity is actually worse off in certain respects than it was supposed to be. And what we desperately need in South Africa is credible leadership. People that can be believed, people that can be trusted, people can be admired, and people, when they say something, what they say and how they act is not at variance with one another. And therefore, we should go on a massive drive to recruit a new skill set, to raise a new crop of CEOs, Chief Encouragement Officers. There's just so much negativity around, and we get sucked into that psyche of negativity. And the moment me and we wake up, for a whole 20 minutes, I was exploring possibilities that might not even happen. And you feel tired and despondent after that. Now, the gift of encouragement is deliberate, and it's a conscious action of giving someone confidence, inspiration, and support. And one of the greatest attributes of a leader is to appreciate a potential and attach the necessary value to that potential so that you can develop that potential. I'll forever be thankful for people that saw the potential in me. Even my wife saw potential in me. That's why we married for 37 years. I was not marriage material at all. But she saw potential. She took out the scrub brush, the jig, and all those sort of things, and she cleaned me up, I'm still on a construction site. I'm not the perfect product here. There's still tiles to be fixed, a roof that's leaking, and all sort of things. But the building is taking shape, okay? So leadership is about identifying potential, attach value to it, and develop it to the maximum. You see, discouragement will hit you unexpectedly. People will disappoint you. You will disappoint other people. You might even disappoint yourself by some of the wrong decisions that you've taken. You ask yourself, but how in the world could I have embarked on this type of thing? What have I been thinking? Why have I done it? And you're not finished when you are defeated. You are finished when you quit. Today we enjoy the benefit of electricity here. But years ago, there was a gentleman called Edison. And his colleagues came to him and said, Edison, look at the pile of rubbish here around your laboratory. What are you going to make with all this rubbish? He said, I haven't failed. I just found out 10,000 ways that will not produce electricity. And at the next attempt, he made a breakthrough. And today, we don't have to run around with paraffin lamps and those sort of things. We enjoy the benefit of somebody that didn't give up. The choice of giving up or going on is the defining moment in your life. And I know what I'm talking about. When I exited the South African Bureau of Standards, I had a 5-year contract with them, and I kind of, I didn't actively go out in the marketplace to secure a job, because one of the companies I've been involved with approached me. I was on their board, and they approached me and they said, well, we're going global. We want a local person to look after the local operations so that we can free up the CEO to look at global expansion and all those sort of things. And just a week before to leave the SABS, I got a call from the chairperson, and he told me, we've changed our plans. We don't think the timing is right for this thing. Just like that. Okay. I said with, no, I shouldn't, this is going to be on record. Let's leave this out. But in September that year, the ISO General Assembly was held in Cape Town. I won the bid for the SABS for the first time for them to host this big international, 129 countries coming to Cape Town. So very graciously, they invited me to that function. And when I arrived there, I was approached by my former counterpart from the US to say, hey, we're running short of a candidate here to stand as president-elect because the gentleman from India pulled out. He's going to go into political office with the president there. And we've identified you to be the president-elect because you are no more full-time with SABS, and you've been 2 years in the ISO Council, you know how the international scene works and so on. I said, just do me a favor, Joe. Go and talk to South Africa first, because it will look rather opportunistic. Here comes Martin, and he's paraded as the candidate for... They went to speak to South Africa. The South African delegation said, no ways. My own people didn't want me to be, and ever since then, Africa never got a candidate. I don't say I would have been the best position to do that. There's a company that we been involved with in the Pan-African Infrastructure Development Fund. And I managed to secure, shareholding for the asset managers and so on, so that you have stability and those sort of things. So when my term expired, they asked me to stay on. They said I must present my CV. Imagine, I must present my CV. I was the chair, but now all of a sudden I must still present my CV. They will discuss it on the 8th of November. The 8th of November, 2009 came, and it is gone. And up till today, they never came back to me to say why I was not appointed. And I can go on and on. Now, I could have gone into a pity party, oh me, oh my, oh I, what have I gone wrong? I've done so much for this country. Look how they reject me now. I'm finished. One morning, on a Tuesday morning in February, I was sitting down and I was working through a book called Halftime by Bob Buford, Translating Your Success into Significance. How to play the second half of your life. And I was working through that book, and I just realized I'm going to make a shift, but it's going to be something different. Let me work on this thing properly. But it was a major shift in my mindset and so on. And during my time of meditation, after that, I got a phone call. And a lady from Momentum phoned, Mr. Kuscus, how are you? Sorry to phone you only now. Last year in Parliament, we made a special dispensation for people who was 10 years and more in Parliament, pension surplus and so on. And your province is the last that we're visiting. Those were still the days of faxes. She said, where can I fax this thing? I said, email this thing. He said, okay, I'll email it to you. But what is it all about? No, Read it for yourself, but it's going to be something good. She sent it through, and lo and behold, they told me there that I actually qualify for 2.4 million rand, and I can either make it cash or I can put it in something else. No questions asked. It's World Cup, baby. We want the cash. And in my moment of discouragement, still worrying, why I didn't get that? Why did this one discarded me and so on? You know, all of a sudden, I had money to sustain me through the World Cup and beyond. And I didn't become desperate now. Hey, have you guys forgotten about me? I've got skills, you know. I've got experience. I can help. I can turn this place around. Look what I've done there. No, nothing of that sort. I was on a path now to determine my own destiny. I wouldn't like to take you into politics. Wow. How I lost an election one time with 11 votes after I got a standing ovation just 2 hours ago. And the very same person that told me in Parliament, I will never stand against you. There she was, you know. I will accept the nomination. And they nailed me with 11 votes, you know, and was out. And when I was out, instead of moaning and complaining, I worked in a place called Kalahari in Kuruman. And we done some excellent work there. I got inspiration from what I'm doing there, not from the affirmation of having the title. Do you hear what I'm trying to say? Discouragement is going to hit you. It's how you're going to respond to it. Now, when you're in a crisis, never take it out on somebody. You see, misery loves company. You can quickly organize a pity party. Me, my, and I, we're sitting there, and we start talking to each other. Hurt people normally hurt people. And be careful what you say in that moment of discouragement, because later on you're going to regret it. Be very careful what you say. I don't know what's the possible cause of discouragement. Does this make sense? You seem also happy, you're laughing, yeah, and so on. Are you okay? But perhaps behind the smile, there might be something that triggers discouragement, something of concern, something that worries you. You see, I know what I'm talking about because I've got this wild, also this weird episodal relationship with discouragement. Discouragement is almost like that very maverick cousin of mine who will just come out of the blues from nowhere. Hi, cousin. I'm in Harabesport. Can I pop in there? And yes, no, it's all right. Come around. And cousin comes in there. Yes, man, I've been in the area. How you doing? And so on. And then he start putting in a proposal there. Hey, man, you've got a nice place here. I haven't been in touch. Yeah, can I spend the weekend with you? And he spends the weekend, regardless of what plans I've got. He will tell me, no, don't worry, Kazi. I'm a big boy. I can look after myself. Come Sunday afternoon, cousin is still there. And he'll tell you, no, I'm going to leave tomorrow morning. You know. And Monday morning, no, they've canceled my meeting, you know. And then I can only see those people tomorrow. Does that sound familiar? That's what discouragement can do. And you know, normally what cousin does, cousin discouragement, he or she comes with that big bag and they pluck it there on the floor and they unpack that bag. And you know what's normally in that bag? The first one is the thing called doubt. Are you the right person for this job? Who do you think you are? Are you really made for this thing? You know? No. I think you're taking it a step too far. Stay out of this thing. The second piece of stuff that they normally pack out, it's a thing called pity. You have given your best without anybody appreciating it. Poor you. Just leave it. The third thing that the discouragement normally packs out of that suitcase is a thing called anger. Nobody cares for me. I'm the only one doing blah, 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 whilst others are just doing ta, ta, ta. I'm the only one sweating it out in this department here. Others are doing nothing. They make me mad. The fourth thing is despair. If you are not appreciated, why care? Surely you can do something else with your time and your talents. Pack up and go, man. Leave AFGRI. Wasting your time here. If you get that tender there at Home Affairs, you'll be set up for life. Leave these people. And the tender never comes. And you're sitting there worse off. Now, you see, when you're a CEO, when you're a Chief Encouragement Officer, even in the real world of a CEO, there are gatekeepers there. Not everybody just comes into my office. There's a PA, you must first report there. Do you have an appointment, Mrs. So-and-so? No, I'm just passing by. No, Mr. Kuscus is busy. He's in an exco. What? No, call him. No, I can't call him. He's chairing the meeting. And you can be my best cousin. You can't just barge in there and demand my time. But this is what we do with discouragement. We allow discouragement to just barge into our office and demand airtime from us as if we owe discouragement an audience. And therefore we need to draw the line and say, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to entertain this. Now, let's get to the meat of the subject. How to become an effective CEO. An effective Chief Encouragement Officer firstly understands the bigger picture. You see, it doesn't matter on what level of the organization you are. You are here to execute a higher vision. You're not just here to do a job in AFGRI. You're here to be part of a higher vision. Do you understand the higher purpose of this business? Do you understand the higher purpose of your profession? Do you understand the higher purpose of your role in life? And unless you understand that higher purpose, you'll run from episode to episode, because it's that higher purpose that will keep you going regardless of the obstacles. You see, there are two important dates in our lives. The one date is the date when we were born, and the second date is the date when we actually discover why we were born. And unfortunately, very few people discover why they were born. Going through life, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, no. Life is about intentionality in pursuit of my purpose in life. Now, you see, unfortunately, in the business environment, we've been trained sometimes to operate more in an ecosystem as opposed to an ecosystem. What's the difference between the two? An ecosystem, they train us, you must go to the top, winning at all costs, be number one, be this, and people doesn't matter. But working in an ecosystem is that interrelationship with each other, feeding off the support systems around you. And it's not just about me. It's not about my success, my progress. It's about the collective. And we get very discouraged because, once you're in an ego trip, people can set you up for failure. But once you realize your interdependence on each other in an ecosystem, it works much better. Because business, like an ecosystem, it's our responsibility to build a shared vision and creating shared value. So firstly, if you want to be effective, you must understand the bigger picture. Secondly, it's also about relational integrity. You see, meaningful engagement is a matter of trust. Joel Maywood puts it so beautifully. He says, you can't trust someone who won't be vulnerable with you, and you cannot be vulnerable with someone you cannot trust. And too many of us are, we're putting up a scene and we don't make ourselves vulnerable. We don't want to unmask ourselves. We don't want to be seen for who we really are. And we're putting up a bold face here, but hurting privately and being discouraged in the privacy of our lives. Now, how do we go about being honest and sincere regarding our hopes, our struggles, our pain, our joy and anxieties in a safe and because let's be honest, each one of us will have a portfolio here of betrayal. Am I talking to the right audience? You've trusted and you've trusted to a certain level and people have just betrayed you so badly you don't trust anymore. Am I talking to the right audience here? And so, how do we make sure that we create that safe environment and secure environment where we can be vulnerable towards one another? First, it's about unconditional acceptance. It's about the realization of the frailty of human nature in which we all need someone that will accept us for who we are without being judgmental. You know, especially in these times, unfortunately, our culture has veered away from who we really are as a people. South Africa had this very important ingredient called Ubuntu, where there was the collective, the support system, you know, where we were there for each other. But nowadays, it's so no, let them go on. I've studied, I've worked hard. It's not my business if they're suffering and so on. There is just that lack of concern anymore. And yet, we need each other because today it's me, tomorrow it can be you. And we can't just parachute into each other's lives unless we build a relationship of trust. How do we create also that environment? Is investment in time. If you really want to make an enduring impact on people, this thing can't be rushed. You must be able to invest time with people. You can't say, no, fine, man, you'll be okay, don't worry, you'll be okay. No, life doesn't work like that. You'll be okay. See you later. No. You must be able to invest time. Thirdly, the power of agreement. We need to set clear boundaries. You see, at the end of the day, people must take agency. I can't take over your life. I can't run your life. Agency resides with you. I can help you to navigate through a few options because sometimes we're so immersed and so subjectively involved in this thing that we don't see the possibilities around us. But at the end of the day, it's about setting boundaries on what you agree up front and how you're going to relate to each other moving forward so that there is no misalignment of expectations. I thought Martin is going to do this, but I didn't sign up for that. So there must be clear boundaries in which you're going to relate. You also need to appreciate, in order to create that environment, it's a journey. It's a journey of mutual learning. It's a journey of growth and edification. You see, the journey is more important than the ultimate destination. I've learned so much by just journeying with people. My life has been so much enriched by walking a journey with people. We spoke about diversity the last time, and I told you that, unless you are prepared to go beyond your current circle, you're going to be impoverished. And it's a journey because we can learn so much from each other. You see, if we don't walk in relational integrity, in the words of Larry Crabb, and this shook me when I read it, we will be known as reliable, but not involved. We'll be known as honest by our friends, but they don't enjoy being with us because they feel trouble being close to us. Even our spouses will feel guarded around us, a little tense and vaguely distant. But if we walk in relational integrity, we take off the masks, we take those risks, and yes, it's not always going to work, but we're prepared to make ourselves known for who we are. Do I make sense? We're talking of a CEO job. It's a serious job. To be a chief encouragement officer, you need to understand the bigger picture. Secondly, you need to walk in relational integrity. But thirdly, it's also about active listening. You see, someone's feelings and emotions and so on can't just be wished away. They must be dealt with and never be suppressed and discounted. We all have a story. And that story needs to be validated, and that story needs to be respected. You can't criminalize my feelings. You can't criminalize my thoughts. Stupid. Wow. No. I need to listen to you, because that's how I feel at that point in time. Your responsibility is to have that empathetic ear so that you can support me through the situation. You will never fully understand the intensity of what the other person is going through. Just place yourself all the time in the shoes of the other person and say, if given a similar set of circumstances, how would I have liked others to respond to me if I was on the other side? And sometimes we don't need to have all the answers. Just the opportunity to be heard is already therapeutic, isn't it so? Just to download. Just to know that you were able to ventilate something. You have not got all the answers sorted out, but you were given a platform and opportunity in an honest and safe space to make yourself known. The fourth thing, beside being a good listener, beside understanding the bigger picture, beside walking in relational integrity, is to follow through on what you've committed to. You see, there's nothing so discouraging. No, don't worry, I'll do this, I'll connect you with that, I'll follow through on what you've committed to. And don't overcommit, okay? You're not MacGyver. You can't change the world with a pocket knife here and perform all manner of stunts here. I've got my own limitations. I'm good at certain things, but there are people much better equipped than myself. And I will ask you for permission. Is it in order if I can connect you with so-and-so? Krista is very good in dealing with this specific area where she's more equipped than myself. And by so doing, you don't pretend to be everything to everybody. You thrive in the areas where you can help people the best. But fifthly, model encouragement yourself. You can only give what you have. And for this matter, we need to have this, cultivate the sense of self-awareness. And what do I mean with self-awareness? Awareness, it's basically about, noticing all the things that's happening around you. But self-awareness is about focusing your awareness on yourself. It is the ability to notice your own feelings, your physical sensations, your reactions, your habits, your behaviors, and your thoughts. And you must also be cognizant how these things, the feelings, the thoughts, how you react and so on, how does it have an impact and an influence on the people around you? You can't every day come to work and say, no man, forgive me, we van der Merwes, we are like that. No. This is not van der Merwes farm. This is not Kumalo's farm, Here you need to be aware that, this. I can do that when we've got a bride there somewhere, but here, I'm in AFGRI now. Okay? I can't just say things that I normally say amongst my buddies. Other people might feel offended by it. So that self-awareness is important, that we need to, if we want to model encouragement, we must be aware what we project out there. And I don't say try and pretend, just be yourself, but be aware of what's happening in your environment. You can't encourage people if you, and walking like an old man there, not inspiring anybody. No, you should model encouragement yourself. You see, self-awareness is being honest about yourself. It's having that, asking those honest and rational questions from time to time to reflect at any given point in time. And I like to reflect on 3 questions. What happened? What's missing? What's next? What happened? What's missing? What's next? And you know, it helps me not to repeat some of the same stuff over and over again. Given a similar set of circumstances, what will I do differently? What's missing here? And what do I need to do next? If I'm confronted with a similar thing, I will not do it this way. I won't speak that way. I will not act that way. I will do things differently. Are you with me so far? You want to be a CEO? It's not the office on the 8th floor. It's not the trappings of the title and the budgets and so on. All of us can be CEOs in our individual spheres of influence. You can be a CEO as a father in your home, as a man in your house. When everybody's talking about the economy and so on, you need to say, no, guys, let's stand firm. Let's do the necessary to get through this thing. And speak wisdom there. So are you ready for the position of CEO? I want to land with the following. There's no better kind of life than the one where you can be true to yourself without a single grain of pretense and have the confident assurance that you connect with those around you in a real and meaningful way. The world is looking for authenticity. Social media has totally thrown things out of kilter. You see these headshots of people on their social media profiles. They're forever in Hawaii and Dubai and so on, and you say, what am I missing in life? It's a screenshot that's been photoshopped. And what's wrong with me, She's forever catching the hottest guys in town, He's forever catching the hottest girls in town. Their children are always getting top marks and people are putting up an image there that puts me and you under pressure. Run your own race. Yes. Be genuine. Be authentic with yourself. And being a Chief Encouragement Officer is intentional. When you walk into any environment, you need to look for opportunities to encourage and not discourage. Very soon, when you become you lose your credibility as a CEO. Once people, when you walk in the door, say, hey, there comes that guy again. Because they know when you arrive on the scene, you'll know the hottest gossip about everybody. You've got nothing good to say about anybody. There's forever something wrong with the environment and all sort of things. People don't get attracted to those kind of people. But they get attracted to people that's confident, that's encouraging, and not encouragement for encouragement's sake. They actually live it out. When they are in the privacy of their own life, they ooze it out. You see it, you feel it, it's real, it's authentic. And don't wait for that spectacular moment to become a CEO. Start straight where you are. When you walk into the working environment, start engaging with the very lady that's making the tea for you, that's cleaning your office. And start intentionally to learn more about her experience of life. Sometimes, we wait for this big moment to make a difference. You go to the same filling station every time, and there is this guy, Jackson or so, that forever fills your car, and he even knows your name, and clean your windscreen and so on. Find out from Jackson. It happened in my, one time, there's a guy that used to, and I asked him one time, where are you coming from? No, I'm coming from Taung and so on. What, so far, why? No, I was looking for a job. What kind of job? No, I've passed matric, we don't have my, what do you want to do? All we did was to go and get him the forms at the police station. My wife got him the application forms at the hospital for nursing and those sort of things. Sometimes we just need to connect people with information. That's how, they didn't need our money. They didn't ask us for a job, but we had access to information which can empower Jackson, and I don't see him at the garage anymore. So don't wait for this big moment. You can be encouraged. A chief executive offer just right where you are. The colleague that just joined the department. The young leader in your organization that has potential and needs mentorship. The new couple that join, we all have our social groups, whether it be at school, at church, or whatever. Find out how you can be of help to them. Opportunities are begging. And every day, me and you need to consciously ask this question: who am I going to encourage today? Because you see, as we sow encouragement, we'll reap encouragement. The time when we need it the most, it will come back to us. I've lost my dad at the beginning of the year. I was out in Melbourne visiting my grandchildren. My eldest daughter is married there. And, we thought we'll see Dad during Christmas. We were supposed to fly out on the 22nd of December. There's a big hailstorm and stuff happened there in the Victoria region. So the airport was closed for 5 hours. They couldn't let us out, and we couldn't connect in Perth. So SAA told me, Kuscus, the earliest we can get you on the flight is on the 24th. I landed here Christmas morning, 5 o'clock. No Christmas tree, nothing. We didn't prepare because we left my son at home, and when we opened up the fridge, it was just a 2-liter of Coke and some, Nando stuff there. He didn't think about it. And in the meantime, I got a call on the 23rd that my father passed away. And because I have learned to encourage people, you know what it meant to me sitting there in Melbourne and getting all the phone calls, the words of encouragement? It smoothened that process so much that even during the funeral, the arrangements, how people came to help, can we do this, can we do that, and so on. And you can only reap those rewards if you've invested. And every day, ask yourself consciously, how can I be a chief encouragement? Let the CEO in you show up every day. I thank you.
Wow, that's amazing. Any questions to Martin? Any contributions anybody wants to make?
Firstly, thank you, Martin. Thank you so much. I think we all need an encouragement one way or the other. So, for me, to be an encourager, it always puts you in a vulnerable state where at all times you feel if I just continue to encourage, somehow I'll be empty. But, today I'm just encouraged to say, really, if you give it out, one way or the other it will come back. So really, thank you.
And it will come back from sources least expected. Don't be surprised. Those that you always encourage, they might not be first in the line. They'll come from sources least expected. And that makes life so beautiful. Any other contribution?
Thokoza Kehle. My name is Neo. If I may share the podium with you.
Yes, I like it. We're making progress, mentorship.
I came down here specifically because of one day. There was a day I was working at OR Tambo, before it was OR Tambo, Jan Smarts. It was in, if I'm not mistaken, 2004, 2005. Okay. I was working at the campsite, first class checking there for you guys.
First class. I'm doing Kulula.
There you come, and I'm studying there with my buddy. We were taught to be approachable. You need to stand with your hands behind your back so that it allows people to come to you. And I'm standing there with my guy there. Same age, same complexion, you know, same height, same everything. I guess that's how they hired us, to say, no, you two can be a pair at this station. Okay, you come, you get in. I have a photo with you. After you leave, there's something that you said to me. And you said, you must take your nose. I was accompanying you to the aircraft.
Yes.
And you said, you must take your nose from here and put it here. And everything will come right. You know, from that day, when I saw your photo up there on that frame there, I thought, here's this guy. But now, something important that you are saying. I came to AFGRI because of connection of information.
Yes.
Somebody was working at AFGRI, and I went to him and I said, Aish, life is difficult. And he said to me, really? There's a company called AFGRI. I said, I'm not going there. Can't speak Afrikaans to start with. Because, you know, when you pass by the freeway, you see AFGRI, and first thing that comes to mind is Afrikaner agriculture. And I thought, but after that person brought me here, I entered through the door. And, you know, the butterfly started having action inside me. Thought, am I gonna be able? That's the first thing I picked out of that bag. But I said to myself, you know what, I'm not walking alone here. I've got my God with me. He brought me here. Watch me. Okay, through my stay here, it's about 1.5 years or so, there's a guy in the township. I'm from Alex, by the way.
Okay.
There's a guy in the township there with my younger brother. I opened up a car wash there for them. I don't benefit. It actually costs me till this day. But because now, every time I get home, you know, on the 23rd, 24th, 25th, you've got all your lighties around you. You know, they know why Papa got paid. So now I got tired of that and decided, you know what, guys, I'm not going to buy bread for you anymore because that's what my mentor did to me. I'm going to do it to you. Here's a space there. Pay 150 for that ganda to come and clean up that skanga, you know, the throw place by the corner there. And we do something with that space. Nobody owns it. Today, one of those guys works at Clientele. Simply because he said something to me to say, when you come back from work, hey, you look smart. But you get into the house, you come out, you've got your sporties and your techies. What's wrong? I said, my man, you can be the same. You know, you don't have to wake up in a sporty. You wake up, you brush your hair, go to work, pitch up, show up, and take a chance and see what you'll get. You know, I'm not that high, but you might just be at my position. Someday, I will not be there, I'll be higher, but you'll occupy that position. You know? So, I recognize your presence. I'm just standing up to say, you know what, since we made the first day, you may not remember the day, but we meet again today. And putting my nose on my forehead actually put me here.
Thank you, man. No, thank you, man. You've made my day. You know, years ago, I was asked to go and speak at Rooigrond prison in Mafikeng. Now, I've stopped writing. There's about 139 blogs of mine there on a website called Prism. I've stopped writing. I want to start writing again. But one time I wrote, and this one gentleman wrote me back. And he said, I was in Rooigrond prison, and you came to visit us there. And you encouraged us, and you asked these two questions: who are you? What do you say about yourself? He said that question has stuck with me for 6 years until I was released. So I'm talking to you now. I'm running my own training company. I want to come and check you because I do work here in Lonman and so on. And I tell you, this gentleman showed me his family. He's running his own business. He's got an honors degree at this point in time, you know. Just me going there and encouraging people. And, you know, you've made my day, man. Yes, like, yes. This is beautiful. So don't wait for the big moment until you get a big platform to do your thing and being interviewed by so-and-so on TV. No. Every day, consciously and deliberately, encourage somebody. Any other contributions? Well, I hope if I haven't convinced you, that I've at least confused you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I see the picture of somebody that's got the potential to be an igniter. And I see that in your life. I see how you've ignited so many people, Martin, that it's going to start a fire. It has already started a fire. And thank you just for who you are and just being authentically you in everything that you do. And I truly believe that you are a person that sees the potential and through that really ignites the fire in others. And having somebody that are in the role, that's been in the role of a CEO. Sometimes our working spaces can become so professional that we forget that we are first human and then we've got a job to do. And if we can show up with our humanness and be kind to people first, everybody is going through some tough times at the moment. And it's through that small acts of kindness that we can start being the change that our world really wants to see. So I really appreciate what you did for us today. I personally was blessed and made so many notes on what you said today. And I'll go and practice each one of that, because this is it. Is we can hear a lot of things, but if we are not intentional to go and do what we heard, this was just another information session. And that's not our intention. Our intention is to listen to this and then go and be that which we have heard today, because that is the change that the world really needs. So may you all be blessed. May you have a wonderful tomorrow is public holiday for those of you that do not know. But we're going into an Easter season, and may this just be a time of rest and reflection with families as well. And let's take this encouragement back to our families and into our working spaces. So we've got our next session planned for April. Tabi is going to be our next speaker. She is one of our executive directors responsible for business development, and I'm quite excited to listen what she's got in her heart. I think it's going to be a platform that she can just come and present to us as well, saying this is what she dreams about, and seeing what the agricultural sector can be through her eyes. So please don't miss our sessions. Remember to get connected wherever you can. There are at the back is pamphlets of all the organizational health processes. I think most of you that are here today has been connected in one of those sessions, but it's really life-changing. Make sure that you are connected in one of those groups, and let's go and be the change that we want to see. So be blessed. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you, Martin. Thanks.